My man, what's cracking? Santana,
Yeah.
how you doing?
Uh, Extraordinary. Extraordinary. I
Ah,
literally mean that. And I feel like you just caught me at this point where there's this vacillation in life where you hit these pits and then you get to peaks. And when you're in the pit, it helps so much to realize this always ends. It always precedes something great. And now I'm just at the base of Everest and I can begin to imagine what the peak is going to look like.
hmm, what a way to start. How long how long have you been in this pit? Is it since last time we talked? Has this whole new endeavor been like just kind of felt like you've been crawling, through this valley, or has it been like a lot of peaks and valleys since last time we talked, which is like a year ago?
So many things, so many things. I would say it's both. Uh, to give context, so much has happened since the last time that we spoke. I've really developed this penchant for adventure, and adventure does require really challenging things. So, when we had spoken last, I was just at the beginning stages of launching my own business, and it has since flourished and it is transformed in so many different ways. And I'm reminded that the reason that I launched this business was so that I could continue to adventure, so I could pursue these dreams and not only make them happen for myself, but to show everyone else that this is just as possible for them. And the business, as I said, has transformed many times over. And entrepreneurship, for anybody who doesn't know, is like self-development, just like therapy on steroids. All of your
Hmm.
fears, all of your weaknesses, all of the things that you avoid will be brought to the surface and put a magnifying glass with a spotlight, and you'll have to stare those things right in the face, and you'll have to transform them. You get the opportunity to transmute those things that you thought were weaknesses, that you thought were weak points, and realize that within those, they've held your greatest strengths.
Mm. Can you give us a little background of, well, first of all, me and Santana met like 3 years ago now in Osaka, and we met at a friend's birthday party, and we kind of just hit it off. We realized that we're both writers and explorers. We love adventure and new experiences and meeting people and just getting the most out of life. And this friendship really just kind of took off from there. And Santana has been on this incredible journey around the world, just doing these pretty much a bucket list of items that you want to just accomplish around the world. Really cool things like you're in Japan seeking tea. You were learning about tea and matcha. Before that, you were in Thailand studying Muay Thai and fighting, and you're just on this grand adventure. And that's something I really admire about you. And obviously, that's what I love about life is like just doing these things that you don't know how it's going to go, but it's just no matter what happens, it's just another experience. And why not send it and, you know, have as many of those as we can.
Hmm.
And then about a year later was the next time we spoke. You moved back to the United States. I moved to
Hmm.
Tokyo. Um, and we talked then. It was June when the last time, second time you were on this podcast,
Hmm.
and we talked a lot about the hero's journey and just embracing your weirdness, and
Hmm.
that really giving people the permission to embrace their own weirdness as well. And I think people really like that message. So you said since then you've been on this entrepreneurship journey. Can you just walk us through kind of what it began as, how it's changed, and where it has taken you now?
Yes. And you primed it perfectly because there's a little story that I want to tell you that it sounds like it's my story, but it's really going to be your story and a story I want anyone who has a dream to hear and realize what is possible.
Mm,
So, like you just said, I'd been traveling around the world, living out of a 30-liter backpack for a number of years now, checking things off my bucket list. and basically continuously getting more and more clear what it is that I want out of my life. So when I was in Japan, I was laid off of my very cushy tech job. And I was actually very happy with this because I realized that on paper it was everything that I thought that I wanted, but internally it was killing me. But I didn't have the courage to quit. So when the layoff came, I was like, thank you. You just pulled that rug out from under me because I couldn't do it myself. So I spent
Mm,
some time exploring. After Japan, I went to Mexico to launch a retreat center. Realized that that was cool, but I don't want to live in a jungle. So then after that, I was like, I want some clarity. I would like to go into this more spiritual process that I just discovered. So I moved to Colombia and went through yoga teacher training. And I remember being gripped with anxiety at the end of the training because it culminated in a ayahuasca ceremony, and I was praying subconsciously for clarity. Please show me the way. Please give me the courage. Please help me do what it is that I have to do to become who I want to become. Because I knew that I wanted to launch a business and I knew I wanted to do some form of communications training, but I didn't know how. I was scared. It seemed overwhelming at the time. And I went to this ayahuasca ceremony and nothing happened. It was zero result. There was no reaction. And I felt betrayed. I felt stupid. I felt so ashamed that I would have this expectation that it could help me. This was compounded by getting to see everyone else around me and the incredible revelations they were having, the epiphanies and euphoria they were experiencing. And I felt so alone. I felt so stupid for being there.
mm,
I just wanted to not exist at that time. And it took a day or so to really come out of that dark pit. And I remember going to a stream and talking with one of my yoga teachers and coming to the conclusion, the realization that getting no message is a message in itself. And I
mm,
thought, this thing didn't work for me, but what if it not working was it working?
mhm,
What if it not sending me a signal or giving me this experience is telling me that I already have everything that I need? That I don't need some psychedelic substance. I don't need spiritual clarity. I literally just need to execute on my dreams. And that's an easy thing to say when I'm sitting where I'm at right now. But at the time, I was terrified because I literally spent all of my money to travel. I spent the last of my money on this yoga teacher retreat, and I thought I was going to get clarity and figure something else out.
mm,
So that whole retreat closes, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, what do I do? And I think if I'm going to launch this thing, I should probably go back home because I was debating between Saudi Arabia to ride horses or to return to the US to do this. And I thought, horse riding can wait. And I think I'd rather be doing that when I'm more financially stable.
mm,
So I actually had to borrow money from my sister. Shout out to Yvette. Borrow money from my sister to get back to the US. And I had no clue, man. Was terrified, just vague idea, no money, gripped with anxiety. And I really want to emphasize this point to everybody listening that you just need to trust. You need to just have a vague idea, a notion of something that lights your heart up, and know that if you follow it, it will yield. Because I started with this, I started with nothing. It started just with a cold DMing hundreds of people. And then over time, I started testing this and saying, would you want this? I want to do some form of communication coaching. Here's some things that I've solved. Are you interested? And then I started coaching for testimonials. And then I started coaching for donation. And then I started coaching based on the result. And I said, let's get your specific result. And then you pay me what that result was worth for you. And then I
mm,
started getting more and more and more momentum. And now that the business has transformed. It went from like communication to friendship to dating for men into all these different things. And now I help women become professional speakers, which I could never have imagined at that point in time. And I couldn't have imagined that I would be able to support myself and move to the Netherlands a year later. And within a year, I should say, within a year, So that story is really just to emphasize that I had no clue what I was doing, and I got exactly where I wanted to be. And now, like I just told you, I'm at the base of a mountain that believe can change the world.
Mm. Oh man, so cool. So, a couple things. We'll come back to why you're in the Netherlands, but can you, yeah, explain why you wanted to get into like communications coaching and what
Mhm.
that means to you, and how did you find yourself going from like the yoga retreat to realizing that that was your like true calling? Because I'm going through something pretty similar right now that I'll explain later, but yeah, let's just hear like how did you know that you had to pretty much buckle down and like go all in on your dream? How did you know what that dream was, and
Mhm.
what really told you like I need to just give everything I have to this thing, you know?
You're a direct component of this answer, Vinny. I hope you know that. That
Mm,
I didn't know what it was that I wanted. I didn't know what it was that I knew that I wanted to coach and I knew I wanted to work remotely. That's all I knew. And I was like, maybe it's this. I'd spent 17 years as a strength conditioning coach and said, I love that, but I think that that part's over. There's got to be a better way to help. And it wasn't until I was traveling and meeting people like you, Vinny, and getting these deep, visceral, life altering, permanent connections that truly resonate in my soul and gave me life when I felt like I had none, did I realize that this isn't the experience that most people have when they travel. People are afraid to move. People are afraid to leave relationships. People are afraid to start jobs or leave jobs because they're afraid that they won't find the people that they want on the other side. And I had never traveled, I'd never left the US prior to moving to Thailand. I sold everything that I owned to go there. And I was terrified. I was like, I'm never going to make friends. I'm going to miss my sister. All these things are going to happen. And then incredible, business opportunities, romance, friendship, just networks in so many different ways. And people told me, they were like, yeah, this is pretty abnormal. Most people don't get to study at a 900-year-old tea school, a couple weeks after arriving in Japan. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. And they said, yeah, you're having a special experience. And I said, everybody deserves this experience. Everyone deserves their own Vinny. Everyone deserves their own Kaoru, my tea mother in Japan. Everyone deserves to have their own Muay Thai fight. Whatever those things are for them, everyone
mm,
deserves it. But for many people, what keeps them back is a sense of confidence and a belief that if they may hold the belief that if I take this step, then it's going to go poorly and I'm going to have to
mm-hmm,
do it alone. And I realized that the thing that really unlocks all of that for me is communication skills, being able to effectively express myself, being able to create deep visceral connections immediately whenever I want, regardless of language. And from that, I said, everybody deserves that. I want everybody to be able to do that. So again, it started with this, but as I continued, it got even more connected because I realized it was something that I wanted to give that I did not have when I was younger. I felt so disconnected from my family. I felt so disconnected from my parents. And I realized that they must have felt so disconnected from themselves. And that yielded in a way, it really came to a head because both of my parents were addicts and for a period of time were homeless. And eventually they killed themselves with their addictions. And I imagine how disconnected someone might feel that would yield that result. And I decided to commit my life to doing everything I possibly can to prevent that. And what I find is that with public speaking, we have the ability to dissolve shame with our stories. So there are certain difficult things that you've done in your life where you felt like you couldn't have made it out. But when you tell your story, it gives someone else with the opportunity to see themselves in you, connect with that story, and then see what is possible on the other side. And when you learn how to speak and deliver a keynote, what you're actually able to do is to not only connect with the audience, not only connect with the outcome, but also be able to teach and speak in a way that is engaging and draws people in and feel deeply connected. So they learn from you, they feel motivated, and it creates actual change in the audience. Because what we're not interested in doing is what I would say is motivational speaking, which is where you're
Mm-hmm.
just coming in to help people feel better. They get a big high and then they're left empty afterwards. They don't know
Mm.
what to do with this energy. No sustained behavioral change happens as a result. And I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in people getting exactly what they want out of life.
Hmm. Yeah, what's coming up, and thank you for sharing all of that, is just how our lives are really like the path that we take in life. It feels like this divine thing where it's we go through everything that we go through for a specific reason, and that is to do what we're meant to do. And that takes a lot of introspection and thinking about like what is it that I'm truly meant to do with this story, with my past, and how can I bring it all together to serve the world, to serve people who are going through similar situations that I've been in. And, and that takes a lot. I mean, most people don't get to that point, and it does feel like we're in a beautiful age where we are kind of in ways connecting more with that, um, with ourselves, with different paths in life. Like, 100 years ago, you couldn't just make your own business online and be coaching people around the
Mm-hmm.
world. Like, it's a very special time to with so many opportunities. But then also, there's a lot of things about the modern world that make it a lot more lonely and a lot more just, I think, just the exposure to just the rest of the world gives us a kind of a sadness and a helplessness.
Mm-hmm.
And a quote that I love is, and that's been I've applied to my own life recently. Howard Thurman: "Do not ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do that. Because what
Mm-hmm.
the world needs is people who have come alive." And
Mm-hmm.
man, yesterday that came to me, and I was just like, "Wow, that's." And I'll tell you why that resonated so much right now. Because yeah, man. So like I was saying, I'm trying to figure out, my whole 20s have been, I'm 29 now, have been trying to figure out like what the hell to do with my life, just as it is with, I'd say, anyone in their 20s and probably the rest of their life. But specifically, like, what do I do? What am I truly meant to do? I could do the things that, I could kind of go into the cookie cutter role that I'm supposed to do that will
Mm-hmm.
make money. It's a clear path. Or I could really question like what it is that would make me happy and what I truly want to do. And that path doesn't have a clear, well, so I'm looking right above me is the piece of art, I would say, that you and Kaoru gave me. And Kaoru is our medicine mother in Japan. Just she's this tea woman. She owns like the coolest matcha shop in Osaka, and she was one of the first connections that Santana made in Osaka, and he introduced me to her, and I would visit her shop every so often, and she became like a real mother figure in both of our lives. And they made me this like sign when I left. It says, "Dearest Vinny, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." And that's
Mm.
by Ralph Waldo Emerson. And because when you like question what you're meant to do with your life and you really start pursuing that, there is no clear path, but you make the path with every step you take, whether good or bad, or whether you think it's good or bad. everything is a learning experience and everything is taking you to that next step. And you're leaving a path for other people to do the same when you have the courage to do that, like you are. And like what I'm trying to do. And so my whole conundrum that I've been in is I love writing and storytelling and traveling and adventure and personal growth and spirituality and all these things. And I've been writing about topics that pretty much light my soul on fire, as I like to say, throughout my 20s, making a little bit of money here and there, just like online, but nothing to really sustain me. So I've had to have these kind of day jobs throughout my 20s to sustain my creative pursuits. Like that's why I was in Japan teaching English. I was in Europe working at a hostel and on a farm in Italy, and worked in retail and a restaurant, and I was a real estate agent, just a whole slew of things. But I've always known that that was not going to be like, that's not my anchor. Like writing and creating, doing this podcast, that's my career, and this other stuff is a means to sustain that. But I feel like I'm getting to a tipping point where I'm like, 6 months ago, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna really try to make money writing online. Like I moved over to Substack where I thought that I'd have a better chance of like starting to build an audience than I asked, people to pay me, not very effectively, but I thought that was kind of the next step. Like I'm just gonna give everything to that. Then I realized that, damn, it is very uncommon for people to make money from writing about what I write about, which is just daily life, adventures, life lessons. People who make money writing online are pretty much writing about how to make money writing online. Like that
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
kind of the path. And it like pisses me off every time I see writing about that, because I know it's this facade of let me help you make money writing online, but what's really doing is making me money, because it's this tantalizing thing like, oh, I could actually make money. So I signed up for boot camps, I did all this stuff. I'm just like, recently I got to the point where I'm like, I don't think that's the path. I don't think that is what I'm meant to do to sustain myself. And like, I don't want to kill my love for writing by trying to make money online, to do it. And so, most recently, last week, I kind of went on this new endeavor inspired by my mom. And she's like, you should get a master's in psychology and pretty much train to be a therapist, like a coach.
Hmm.
And that would be kind of the base, but then it would, um, possibilities would open up from there. You could be a coach. You could be, if once you get your license, you could be on TV. You could write books with like more
Hmm.
credibility. I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Like all I do is read and learn about psychology and spirituality. Like I'm definitely obsessed with it because I went through chronic pain throughout my 20s, and the way I'm really emerging from it is through spirituality and through kind of, um, creating peace in my nervous system. Like that is helping me in a big way to ease the pain in my body. That's being caused by the brain actually, and in the mind. And so I'm like, yeah, I could use my story with chronic pain, my interest in philosophy and psychology and spirituality to create this brand as like, a coach and a healer through creativity. It's been a week since I've been thinking about this.
Hmm.
And I was like like yesterday I was going to start sending in like, the essays to different schools and stuff. And I was going to do an online program, like 2 years to get the master's, and then like another like 3 years of training, pretty much. But then I was like, that at least gives me, um, that will be kind of my anchor where I'm like, I'm making money from that. I have clients, and then it takes the pressure off of my writing. Like I'm going to be still writing books and stuff and doing the podcast and just writing on Substack and doing everything I've been doing in the rest of my time, but now I at least can take the pressure off my creativity, and my my income will be this more stable thing. And I was all set to do it, and then of course Greg, my partner in crime,
Yeah.
co-host of this wonderful podcast, he at first was like, on board. And then we had to talk yesterday, and he's like, dude, like I just don't think it's the right call. Like, you're not meant to be a therapist. Like, there's much, think about what you truly want. And he
Hmm.
just got me thinking again. And I'm like, wow, like, yeah. Um, it was definitely enticing because all I've wanted is to be making money doing something that interests me while also being able to pursue my creativity. And that seemed like a nice path. I'm like, okay. But then I realized like I was getting these little tinges, if that's the right word, or just like instinctual things in my body that didn't feel fully aligned with this. Like I was kind of just doing it. And mom, if you're listening, this is all in pure love. I was kind of just doing it because it sounded like a good idea and to make her happy a little bit. But I'm like, this, I felt like I was kind of giving up on my dreams if I was going to go down
Hmm.
that path. And that didn't feel that good. And I was like almost embarrassed to say that I was going to be like a therapist, even though there's absolutely nothing wrong with it by any means. I'm in therapy and it's completely changed my life. And I'm like, my therapist is the man. He's in Tokyo. Saw him on Monday, and like I told him about it. He was all fired up. um, but it's just not my path in life. And I'm not completely ruling it out, but I'm like, I feel like I was kind of giving up. And this brings me all back to I think it definitely happened for a reason because it kind of reignited my fire to make it as a writer and as a creator. But I'm realizing that, okay, so I don't want to make money writing online. I don't want to go down this path of like stability by becoming a therapist and psychologist. And I've never truly given a shot of having like a professional writing job. I haven't truly tried. Like I did try a little bit in Tokyo, but I was discouraged after I reached out to like a few magazines and didn't get much or got denied. I haven't truly tried to get a real
Hmm.
job for a magazine, a newspaper, remote, like anything. I haven't acted like my life depends on it. And, talking to my mom, talking to Greg, it just made me realize it's crunch time. Like I have to give it everything I have because no matter what, no matter what like writing job I did get, it would only help me write my writing. It would help me become a better writer if I'm writing for like an AI thing or like a science magazine or nature or like, and I was just seeing these little stars. Like yesterday I saw just this note that I made of like 6 months ago when I was thinking about all this stuff of just what my dream is. And it's like I said, to get paid to travel the world and write about different cultures and to also be like a writer for like a fashion outlet or like a fashion magazine or travel or adventure magazine. And I'm just like that. I know that's my dream. What I want to do is I have this base now. I'm living in Oakland. I have a home, but I want to get paid to write about experiences in the world. And um, that might take a long time to get to that place, but the time has come to really give everything I have to get my foot in the door. And I think I haven't yet because I've been afraid. I've been afraid of the fear of failure, of not getting it. I've been afraid of trying my hardest. Like, I'm blessed that I have like parents who support me and will back me. And um, it's, if it was just me alone in the world, like I would have to freaking give everything I have to make it. And I need to really have that mentality, but also enjoy the journey of like what I'm about to embark upon. Um, so it's been a whirlwind as of late, but just that, as my mom like said, like the world needs therapists. The world needs people who, because just with mental health
Hmm.
crisis that we're in and everything, and that's what brought up that quote by Howard Thurman. Like, okay, that's what the world needs, maybe, but the world also, and more importantly, needs people who are pursuing what truly is making them come alive. because that
Mhm.
gives other people permission to do the same. So that's my long-winded story, but yeah, it's exciting.
There's a lot in here wrapped up, Vinny.
Oh
You
yeah.
articulated it well, and I want to parse out a few points that I thought deserve addressing. The first is the concept of this is top of my mind because I'm reading Stephen Covey right now, but a quote from him says most people spend their life trying to climb the ladder of success only to get to the top and realize that it was leaning against the wrong wall. And
Hmm.
it looks like you caught yourself pretty quickly in recognizing just one or two steps up the rungs, and you're like, this ain't it. Which is a beautiful gift because so many people spend their entire lives trying to attain certain things because other people have conditioned them to believe that they should want those things, that they
Hmm.
will be relevant, that they will be free, that they will be happy if they have X, Y, and Z. There are two things that really spring from that. Number one is recognizing first, what is it that you want? What is the specific thing that you want, and getting crystal clear on that? One of my favorite exercises, again, this comes from Covey, and I'm certain you've already experienced this, which is writing your own eulogy from different
Hmm.
people in your lives, literally going through this visualization exercise. You're walking through, you see all the people, and you've got somebody, one of your friends, one of your family, somebody professionally, and then somebody from a community organization. They each read their own speech for your eulogy, and they talk about how you were, what you did, the effect that you had, and then specific words that they used to describe you. And then from this, you reverse engineer a plan for your life in saying, I need to be this person. This is my deepest desire to become this person. What are the processes that I need to go through? What are the behaviors that I need to get rid of and the behaviors I need to implement in order to live up to that ideal? Because what you find is that these values fundamentally inform the principles by which you operate. You can imagine it creating your operating system, because then you also find that you can do anything with those principles and values. So you
Hmm.
could become a therapist, you could become a writer, you could make pizza. You can do any of these things with these values, with these principles, and this immense sense of fulfillment.
Hmm.
This is where I start to push a little bit back because so many people say, oh, you could do anything, so why not just pick whatever? And I say, no, I don't think so. I want to do what I love, what I'm innately good at, what actually helps other people, and figure out exactly how to do that. I think that's why entrepreneurship, why business is so fun. And I specifically work with coaches, with entrepreneurs, and this is where it gets really beautiful because then you get to understand the actual value of what, like a service or a product. Because I'm learning that anything can be sold for incredible prices if you have the right product and the right person, the right market, rather. And I want to to make this really clear. I'm kind of talking in concept right now, but to give you a really clear example, I'm working with a client right now who does sound healing, and she teaches sound healing.
Hmm.
Now, some people may think, "Oh my gosh, this is it's doing this. We've gone through sound healing. It's nice, but how could somebody make a living off of that?" This is kind of the belief that many people have about not only sound healing but anything. But then one of my favorite exercises is going through a mock testimonial with a client, or actually looking at their testimonials with a specific framework. And you realize when somebody goes through sound healing, it solves a problem. They go in there because there's something in them that they want to solve, and they're thinking that the sound healing is going to solve that thing, but they aren't even aware of it. And it's not until it's reflected back that we can actually see what that is. So going through the testimonial process, we realized that it created a sense of ease in their body. Okay, great. Ease, most people would say, okay, that's the end result. Not the case. When you have more ease in your body, you feel this way. Then what are you able to do that you could not before? To get even more clarity on this, you use polarity to say when somebody's tense and anxious and things like this, what can they not do? So then you create ease, then something becomes available to them. And then you can push even further. So then they now are able to produce a tangible result. Maybe it's break up with their toxic partner, or maybe it's go move and get a new job or whatever the thing is. But then you look at you push even further and you say, okay, once I can do this, what kind of person do I become? How do people see me? How do people relate to me? How do I treat the world as a person of ease in my body with more confidence? And how do people treat somebody with ease and confidence differently than they would treat somebody who's anxious and fearful? And
Hmm.
then you realize you kind of packaged all of this up together and you realize that's the transformation that we're providing, and it makes it so much easier to market and sell, because otherwise you're just competing against all the other sound healers. So
Mm.
this is where I'm thinking about what it is that you're doing with writing, and my brain is always thinking about businesses and always thinking about what problems do these solve. So I think it'd be really simple to go through this exercise and
Yeah.
figure out exactly how to make that like package and work. Because here's another thing is you don't need many people. If just most entrepreneurs starting out, their goal is to hit 10K months. Um, so if you have, a client, you have 10 clients that pay you $1,000 a month, or you have one client that pays you $10,000 a month, it's not really that many people. You don't need an army. People think they need thousands and thousands of followers. You only need a handful who have the very specific problem that you resonate with, that they need your help, that want your help, and are excited to pay you. Once you
Hmm.
find that, it becomes easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, in back of my mind, it's always like, oh, well, maybe I could find those 10 people who will pay me every month to write
Hmm.
the things I want to write about online. But I think if I don't try to truly get a professional job in this field, I will always just kind of wonder, like, what if, or just what did I give up by
Hmm.
just trying to do it myself?
Hmm.
Like, I think I got to just be the student in this arena, and just say I just want to learn about writing, about editing, about the world, and I'm open.
Hmm.
Now that I'm open
Hmm.
to the experience, like, I got to give everything to just get my foot in the door, and then that will give me the freedom to continue writing about what I love and just kind of doing it because I love it. And then maybe
Hmm.
one day that will be my sole income thing, or, my main. But, like, just taking the pressure off of myself and of my creativity, because that it always never feels good when it feels like I'm putting pressure on, like,
Yeah.
I have to write online because I'm trying to make this
Desperation.
thing happen. Forcing desperation,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this. I yeah, like, I'm in San Francisco, Bay Area. This is like the literature, and there's a lot going on here. Capital of the world, more or less. And I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna give it a real freaking shot. But
Hmm.
yeah, I love what you're saying of, like, what. So that just made me think of, even when applying for these jobs and stuff, like, what value am I providing for these brands,
Hmm.
and what do I bring to the table besides just being able to write? Like, anyone can do that, but, like, who am I, and
Hmm.
how to express or um, deliver that message without seeing me, or, having the first interview. Like, how do I just cold call or cold email, or whatever, these people, and kind of get across who I am? And that's all part of the journey of. It's cool how, like, this stuff, I've been in this wheelhouse of trying to figure out my life and my career and, like, who I am for 10 years pretty much. And everything is it's been this, like, Sam, this big mold of clay, like, as we all are. It's all just been a means of whittling down into, like, my true essence again, more and more clear, of who you are. And that takes a lot of work. Like, just an interesting little anecdote. Yesterday, I smoke marijuana every now and again. It's legal here in California. I've always been a fan, but it gets me creative, and like, in the evenings, kind of just to chill. But yesterday I'm like, I'm how about a new rule? Like just don't smoke during the week, like just for the weekends. Um, just because like it um it is a crutch in a way. Like it is a way to distract myself from thinking about from the clarity to think about who I truly am and what I truly want. And time is of the essence. Like I want to spend my time clearly thinking about what I truly want out of life. And like obviously I love to have fun and stuff, and there's time and place for that. But we it's so easy to distract ourselves and to get a job. It was easier for me to go down the psychology path than it would be for me to put
Hmm.
everything I have into truly following my dream. It was almost like it was a weight off my shoulders to be like, oh, I I could just do this. Wow, like I could be in school. I have a path. I'm interested in psychology, so it will be cool, and it will lead to making money at some point. So like, I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Hmm.
But I still had that nagging feeling of like, this isn't truly what I want to do.
Hmm.
Um, and I was already like having little thoughts of like, I won't be able to really travel as much as I want to, and which also brings up another interesting point that I wrote down. What are your thoughts on just like how is travel pretty much an escape from buckling down and trying to figure out like what we truly are meant to do with our lives? And I'm not saying like you have to just sit on your front porch and just think about it 24/7. Like you need to experience life to help you understand
Hmm.
what you are and who you are, and that and travel is a big part of that. Like, but also how much are we distracting ourselves with just these little trips or with drinking or with everything from just like asking ourselves those difficult questions and just being like,
Hmm.
what do I need to do if I'm gonna live this life I want to live?
It's an excellent point. I'm grateful you brought that up because I would actually want to change even the frame of the question or the frame that we observe the question through. So you asked, how does travel impinge upon us sitting with ourselves, getting uncomfortable, and getting something done? That in itself is a belief. And for us to find out if that's actually true, we can look for evidence if it's ever occurred where somebody's travel has benefited them or you in getting something done. My
Yeah.
personal experience, as I just said, I wouldn't be able to do this unless I was traveling and doing all this other stuff. This is
Hmm.
why I was so determined to build this business so I could continue to travel and chase all my dreams because that's when like just crazy stuff that synchronicities, the universe aligns, brings people opportunities, experiences, thoughts, ideas into your path to make your dreams come true. It's almost
Hmm.
terrifying to consider how like a map it happens for us. So the first thing is looking at that question and asking that, like, is that true? Have you personally ever experienced the opposite to be true? And then understanding what is it exactly that I want and how do I adjust it so I get the parameters through which, or I create the parameters through which will produce the desired result. And I'll give you the specific example because it'll explain what it is that I'm doing here. As I said, I built a business so I could pursue my dreams as well as get everybody else to accomplish the goals that I was discussing. The dream that I'm following right now is fighting in Dutch kickboxing. There's two countries on the planet that produce the best kickboxers, and they are Thailand and Netherlands. So I moved to the Netherlands to train in one of the best gyms and learn the sport. Side note, I suck. I'm not nearly as good as I thought I was. But back into it, I thought, I want to go to this place, I want to learn this sport, and I want to do two things, focus on building my business and fighting. So I thought, how can I make it as easy as possible for that? I live alone. I live in a beautiful place. There's no distractions. I make sure that I eat well. I've got my schedule and I love my work. So I just go super deep on work. And then I basically get to celebrate at the end of every day by going to train and do my dream sport. And I
Mm.
couldn't have done this if I were in the US because A, the best kickboxers aren't in the US. B, I was having distractions because I had so many other friends there. C, I was living in Arizona and it's like 115 degrees there. I would not want to be doing anything like what I'm talking about right now. And D, I also have systems and mentors that have helped me create systems to make sure that they've been where I want to go, and I'm learning from them and their mistakes, which collapses the timeline in me getting there. So for me,
Mm,
I know that traveling is really effective in helping me get to my goals. It also impinges a level of pressure because I know that it's finite, and it yeah, makes me say like, okay, well, if you're gonna bet on yourself, then you better know how to make money. Fortunately, I do, and it makes you double down on figuring out how to do it faster, better, so on and so forth. And the best way that you can learn is by teaching someone else. That's why I think that coaching is so critical, not only in learning, but also in teaching someone else to really concretize your own learning.
hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree that like traveling is my favorite thing, and there is like just to I guess take the pressure off in a way of this everything we're talking about. Like this is it is a journey. It's not a an answer to a question. It is
Hmm.
a experience to be had.
Yeah.
It's trite, but it's a journey to be had. And traveling and getting out of your comfort zone and meeting new people and
Hmm.
experiencing life in the world are the ways that you better understand yourself. And
Hmm.
um, it helps you to see other perspectives and to realize like what actually matters to you as opposed to
Hmm.
staying in your hometown or something where
Hmm.
everybody's doing what they've always done and you're not exposed to yourself in a way.
Hmm.
I mean, Japan was 100% like I wrote my second book there because it was pretty little distractions and I felt like a truer version of myself in a way because wasn't around all my old best friends and
Hmm.
still my best friends, but like my guys who I grew up with and stuff. I was in this completely new environment and I could be anyone I really wanted to be. And that just showed me with more clarity who I actually am. I didn't change into somebody I'm not. I
Hmm.
became a truer version of who I am. And I learned so much from traveling and stuff. And that's why it does scare me a bit when I was
Hmm.
almost about to go down this path that wasn't truly aligned with who I am and why I've now realized and why I think this all happened for a reason because it made me see that this is my North Star. It's the one that I've always been following, but maybe I just veered off a little bit. And now I'm coming back with a vengeance and having these experiences and questioning things like that's what helps us to find that clarity.
Hmm.
So where are you in the Netherlands? Or
Hold
do you want
on.
to say something? Yep.
Yeah, there was something in that. There was one word I specifically wrote down, and it made me think about why is travel important? Why is any of this? And I think everything that I've been talking about has been so systematic. It's been so planning. It's been so like, do this, execute this, learn from this, bop, 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 bop. And I realized that we are realistically in control of far less, in some ways, far more than we think we are, and far less than we think we are simultaneously. But the thing that really underpins all of this, that makes everything possible, is the key ingredient of surrender.
Mm.
That is to say, I don't know how this is going to go. I am terrified. I have nothing but a dream and a prayer, just a little glint of heart singing. And I really don't know, but I have to at least try. I have to take a chance. So we leap into the howling abyss. And in the words of Terence McKenna, we find that it is a feather bed.
Mm. Surrender. That is why is it so hard
We
for us
want to control,
people?
man. We want to think that we can do. We want to think that if I, it's like we want to think it's like a recipe or a formula where if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm guaranteed the result. And it's like The world is not a cake. The world is not algebra. The world is mixed with
Hmm.
nuance, and there's so many chaotic forces that when you realize are working in your favor, you wouldn't
Hmm.
want control. You wouldn't want a guarantee. You wouldn't want to have it all right now. Because
Right.
if you did, it would be so unsatisfying. There would be
Yeah.
nothing beautiful about this. The reason we love movies is not because of the ending. We know how it's going to end. We want to see the story. And I think
Mm.
that's what you and I and everyone listening is really living for, to live a life that produces a story that someone else wants to read. And at the very least, it's one that I want to read. And I think that is
Right.
one of the best guiding principles that we can have, because then it reminds us that when we are in the pit or we are at the peak, we are at the base of Everest and we're dueling with dragons, we're being assisted by supernatural aid, we're being bounced around by chaos. We remember ourselves and everyone else's story. And we remember that someday we're going to tell this and we're going to laugh about it and it's going to be incredible. So if it's going to be incredible at some point, we may as well make it incredible right now.
Dude, sometimes, pretty often, I just think I'm like, what would getting that thing I think is gonna make me happy? Like it's just gonna be another thing.
Hmm.
And all we want is meaning and a challenge and a path. To
Hmm.
get to that place, I mean, where like for me getting that cool job, I'm like, oh wow, I'm actually making money and stuff, doing this thing I want to do. It'll just be another stepping stone. And to be in this state where I'm like questioning things, I'm questioning myself, and I'm having realizations, I'm talking to my friends about it and stuff, like this is the juice of life, my friend.
Yep.
And it's people kill for this type of meaning, because this
Hmm.
is this is the meaning in our life. This is what causes us to look into the night sky with just like, what's going on, what am I meant to do. It gives us a reason to grow and to dig deep within ourselves. And I think Alex Hormozy says like between now and like 20 years time, I'm gonna make like X amount of money, and in 20 years I would give all of that up, like and more, to be right here where I am right now. Like the
Hmm.
things we think, the money, the stuff that's like gonna make us happy, we'd give it all up once we're at that place to be young, healthy, where we are exactly right now, no matter how old we are, you know, to be back questioning in the snake pit again.
Hmm.
'Cause this is the fun stuff. This is what it's all about.
This seeking that we do as humans, many times we do it out of conditioning. We're led to believe that, like we said earlier, that I should want this thing, that this thing will make me happy. One of the most important things I've learned from my mentors is that most people have it backwards. They think if I have something, then I will be something. Once I have this
Mm-hmm.
level of success, once I have this partner, once I have this job, once I have this income, once I have this living situation, I'll be able to do different things and then I will be happy. But you said it's actually the opposite. You first become this thing, which infuses your body with the ability to do it, and then you have. So we have it backwards. But because you're a fan of Joe Dispenza, I think you'll understand this part even more clearly. One of the most important things that we can do is to recognize desire as being a form of lack. It's a perception, it's a belief that I don't have this thing. And this is where the power of the mind comes in. So I can imagine as soon as I think about something, wanting something, I can close my eyes and truly embody the feeling of what I think it would be like to have this girlfriend, to have this house, to have this job, to have this whatever thing is. And then if you can carry that not only in the meditation, but throughout your life, then you are no longer controlled by that thing. And then you become magnetized to these opportunities. Again, like we talked about before, desperation is a repellent. It keeps you from
Mm,
getting what it is that you want. But when you're at ease and you are in flow, then everything aligns to come barreling towards you. You are a perfect example of this. The fact that you were in my life came because I completely surrendered days after getting laid off from my tech job to the experience of studying tea in Japan. And also, what happens is tertiary bonus is recognizing that if you can produce the feeling, then you will never be controlled by anything else. Nobody
mm-hmm,
will be able to control or manipulate you. You'll never be able to be sold on anything because you do not want. You are not a slave to desire. Most people are so impulse driven by their emotions and by their thoughts. But when you can observe them and retrain them, nobody can touch you. Nobody can touch you. There's nothing somebody could say that could hurt you. There's nothing they could say that could help you because you can create these feelings on your own. And again,
mm-hmm,
can be difficult for some to hear, but what that does is puts you in complete security. So now you can choose when I'm safe and secure and loved and appreciated and connected, and I have all these things, then what do I choose? Would I still
mm-hmm,
choose that job? Would I still choose this partner? Would I still choose this living situation if I knew all options were available to me and I felt perfectly fine and home and safe in my body? And I'm not choosing out of lack. I'm not choosing out of desperation. I'm choosing from a place of truly being loved and at ease and in full security. We make completely different decisions.
mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I've been on a serious Michael Singer
Yeah.
bender, you might say. Uh Author of Surrender Experiment and The Untethered Soul, and listen to him every day pretty much in the morning. And his whole thing is the mind is the mind is everything. It controls everything that we do, yet it's not this like part of us that is like you're getting a little storage message there. Do you see
Yeah.
that?
How do I turn that off?
I don't know. I think you just X and we'll
It
run
keeps
this
popping
as
up. This device
oh
storage is running low. How do I didn't even know it was recording.
oh yeah, we're recording all right.
But oh, I mean on your end
Um,
it's recording, but why is it doing this on mine?
well, we could land the plane pretty soon here. Is it
It just
a
keeps popping up.
nuisance?
No, I mean I'm just not gonna be
Okay.
able to see if this thing's in the way, but it's fine.
Ah,
If as long as you're recording, it's fine. Because I'll delete
I
whatever it
th-
is off of this on my end.
yeah. I think we're chilling.
Okay.
But his whole thing is the mind is it's just his whole book, The Surrender Experiment, is how the mind is just it's this roommate that just won't shut up. Yet it
Hmm.
would be like if we listened to everything this annoying roommate said as if it were the truth, and it just says the most random things it could think of and with zero regard. And it's all about preferences. And instead of having that's the basis of Buddhism, um, life is suffering because of preferences, because
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly suffering when things don't go the way that we prefer. We don't get the thing we want. Somebody says something that we don't like, obviously it's the list is endless. Instead of having preferences and to say, this is this is it's no easy feat, but it is definitely worth pursuing, is to try to not have such strong desires and not cling so much to these preferences of I'm only going to be happy if
Hmm.
things go this way.
Hmm.
I'll be happy when, like you were saying, I'll be happy when I get this thing. And you're deferring your happiness because life isn't the way you want to be, rather than saying, it does not matter what the hell happens. I am alive and I'm going to enjoy this experience no matter what it is. If my body, for me personally, like if my body's in pain, I realize that it's my mind causing this, and I don't prefer and this is easier said than done, but like I don't prefer my body being out of pain more than I prefer it being in pain. It's
Hmm.
all the same to me. I know what's going on. It's fine. And the thing is, when you can have that mentality, that's what decreases the pain. And that's what, puts your body at ease. And it's all this,
Mm.
I'm going down a different kind of rabbit hole here, but
No, I like this.
it's all to have that mindset is only going to spiral in your favor. It's going to be a positive trend
Hmm.
because then when you don't have preferences and you can embody that just joy and yeah, I don't care what happens. Like I'm going to do my best. This is what he says. And what I really like is it doesn't mean you're just doing nothing and you're just kind of a leaf in the wind. Like you're taking life, you're living, and you're doing your absolute best because it brings the best out of you. It's not that you have to get this thing to be happy. It's that I'm going to be happy and I'm going to do my best in whatever life presents because that makes me the best person that I could be. But if I don't get the results, if I don't get the job, who the hell cares?
Hmm.
I'm still just an animal on this rock and I'm here for this short amount of time. Why put myself in this own prison of my mind? Um, just deferring my joy until things are perfectly how I want them to be. And it is really a game changer because man, we are chained to the vicissitudes of the mind
Yeah.
quite quite strongly. But it's a daily practice of really just like you were saying, surrender.
Hmm. There, you tapped on something that warranted a note, and it was around after preferences and thinking, okay, if I don't have preferences, then I'm okay. But you could even push that further to make the negatives into positives. So when you can perceive your life as saying everything is moving me forward towards my goal, who I want to become, again, assuming that you're heading in this direction, you can find pleasure in these different things. And one way you can do this really simply is by looking at your life and actually taking a category, uh, uh, creating a category and writing down all these different times in your life that you felt like it was really difficult and really awful, and actually be on a hunt for gold and ask yourself, how did that actually serve me? What lesson did I learn from that? How did that
Mm-hmm.
make me better? We always say, you know, all those experiences made me who I am today, but get specific. What do you do differently as a result? And are these behaviors different, the different behaviors positive for you? Because then you begin to map out and start to experience when I'm in the pit, like I was just saying, I was like, I know there's some gold here. Let me find it. What's the gold? How can I learn? But you can make it even more specific, like with your pain. I'll tell you that this happened to me the other day. 17 mosquito bites on this arm. Initially, I was like, "Ah, mosquitoes." And then I thought, how is this good? How is this serving me? And I thought, you know what's actually happening here is my immune system is producing histamines to protect me from the mosquito bite. And I thought, what a brilliant design this thing is. Every little itch that I
Mm,
feel is my immune system working perfectly. What an incredible instrument that is. And then think of all the other things that it saved me from. All the cuts, all the breaks, all the surgeries, all these different things. What an amazing process. How grateful am I to have a functioning immune system?
mm, I love that. Yeah, man. Gratitude. Gratitude for the simple things. And
Yeah.
that's when you realize that, and this kind of brings it all full circle, what you truly want. Like you're asking, like, if everything was good, like, what is it that you truly want? It's really simple. It's really simple. We want, well, I'll speak for myself. I want health. I want to feel
Hmm.
good and be able to do the things I love. I want to work simply on the things that I enjoy.
Hmm.
Writing, getting up early, having my cup of coffee and just being with friends and like I don't need much. And to to get clear on that and to realize that maybe the things that we're supposed to want and everything aren't going to make us happy. And maybe it takes getting those things, as Naval Ravikant says, it's easier to achieve your goals than to renounce them.
Hmm.
Um, like
Yeah.
it's maybe it takes everyone getting what they want to realize that that's not what's going to make them happy.
Hmm.
If you could have your sights set on whatever dream you have, but realize that it's all the journey anyway that
Hmm.
gives our lives meaning, and be able to appreciate it as you know,
Hmm.
amble forth towards that thing, then that's a pretty good life. And I think that's what I keep coming back to, is to simplify and just be grateful for everything we do got, and still give everything to trying and doing your best, because that will only make you better and will make you enjoy life more. That's why you got to try,
Yeah.
that's, that's why you're gonna be okay when it's all said and done. This is, mom, if you're still listening, I'm gonna be fine when it's all, I know you want my security and everything, but we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be great. Life, and I want to look back and be like, wow, I never truly tried. That would be the only way to fail.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Then you hear it 1,000 times, the gift of gratitude and presence. And it reminds me how grateful I am for you and Greg and for everybody here listening. Even having this platform, the ability to talk about these things, to be able to share, for you guys to be able to connect with so many different people. Immense gratitude for both of you for having the courage to step into this dream of starting this podcast, of inviting people on so they can share stories, have conversations like this, and share this with everyone that you listen, or everyone that listens. So thank you, and thank you, listeners, and thank everyone else. And if you can, if you're listening right now, just try and think about something around you that you're grateful for. Think about it, but then actually make your body feel that, and you'll
mm,
put yourself right back in the present moment.
yes. Love you, man. Thank you for coming on. Always a freaking pleasure. I think these continuous episodes will definitely be a staple in the Dare to Dream uh, lexicon.
Beautiful.
It's gonna be good looking back, and always enjoy it.
Yeah.
So good to catch up. So just quickly, or however long you want, but tell us where you are. You're in a sweet little shack in the Netherlands. That's my home country.
Yeah.
I got to hear about it.
Yeah. In the Netherlands, Scheveningen, and yeah, right on the beach, living here, training in Dutch Muay Thai. Uh, my business is thriving. I help female coaches become professional speakers, and my intent is to solely produce the best speakers on the planet. And in order for me to do that, I've got to keep doing scarier things like fighting people in Dutch kickboxing and getting on podcasts like this.
Yes, sir. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We love you, and we see you next time. Peace.